Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be doing 3 different types of schemes for Ultramarines using 3 different methods and techniques to do it. And the first one we're doing here is the dry brush, and we're starting out with ash gray. And we're just dry brushing the whole model and just gradually building up the color on it. So that's what it's looking like after the ash gray over the black primer. Next we're going to be using matte white, and we're just catching the tops of things, tops of the pad, the top of the head, top of his wrist there, top of the knee pads. We're just catching the edges as well on his pads. As well as the edges on the gun. Next I'm using Ultramarine blue, and we'll just start building up the color on top of that gray and white. And it doesn't take much with dry brushing because we're using the layers underneath to give us our weathered, faded look. And that's what he's looking like after the Ultramarine blue. Really works well with that gray and white underneath. Next we're going to be using electric blue. This will be a highlight, same as the white for the gray. We're just going to be catching the edges of things and the tops of the pads. Next we're going to be doing the metallics, is shining silver, and we're just dry brushing over all the metallic parts. The magazine, the barrels. Not too worried about, over dry brushing something. We're just trying to avoid the armor mainly, because this dry brushing the model gives it a faded look, which just adds to the weathered effect to it. And the only part we have to brush on would be the pipe and the little earpiece on the helmet. And all the exhaust on the backpack, we just dry brush that as well. Next we'll be using Greedy Gold, and we're using this for his insignias. So what I did here was just do some scratches and battle damage using electric blue, and just point brush and just put marks on it just to give it some character. And then I used matte white to base the eyes. Now I'm going to be using dark tone, and I'm washing the weapon and all his pouches. And we purposely avoided those with the blue when we were dry brushing that, leaving them mostly black with the ash gray dry brush on them. And it all works well together. It unifies the model, with everything being the dry brush effect. And we got the joints and the pads and everything else too. Next I'm using red gaming, and this will be our lens color for our eyes. And with that white underneath, I'll water down the ink a little bit so it's not as opaque whenever I put it on, so you can see that white shining through, which gives it a good glow effect. The layer underneath really plays well with it. So this will be the second model, and this will be the airbrush technique. Gives it more of a cleaner, smoother look. It's probably not as fast as the dry brushing, but it's really good for having smooth transitions with fades on the model. So same thing, you know, the ash gray, and then we're using the matte white to build up that fade on that. And these layers will just help us with our actual color layers, to where we're not going opaque with it. With the airbrush you can control how much is coming out, so we can use the gray and white layers to help create that fade. And we're using the same exact colors, and this just shows you can use the same colors to achieve different looks depending on what you're wanting to do for your models. And then I'll use electric blue. We're just highlighting that ultramarine blue. Now we can start seeing the fade come in with the highlight colors. That's what we're looking like so far with the electric blue. Then next I'm using the metallics, shining silver and greedy gold. And instead of dry brushing, I'm basing with just a brush. And then I did something a little different on this guy just to change it up. I did the trim and the gold, as well as the insignias. The dry brush one, leaving the trim unpainted. Really helps that the look of it. I guess this is your more traditional ultramarine look. Nice and clean. So just like the last model with the scratches and weathering with the electric blue, we did the same thing, except for we did it you know, creating straight edges and edge highlighting around the pads and everything. It's kind of hard to do that on camera, so I have to do it most of the time off camera. And we went ahead and white dotted the eye as well And now we're just using dark stone, or dark tone, and we're washing our gun and all our pouches. As well as the trim work. We gave that a dark tone wash too. Next we're using gaming red and doing the same thing. Just had it watered down and just dotting the eyes. And that's pretty much it for the clean look with the airbrush. So this third style is like my favorite style that I like to do. So I mix both airbrushing and dry brushing, and I do a weathered look on this one too, but it's completely different from the dry brushing one. The dry brushing one's way less controlled than the type of style I'm doing now. So we just used the ash gray, we didn't do the matte white highlight, and now we're just using ultramarine blue over that ash gray with the airbrush. And now we're using electric blue for a dry brush. So with that smooth transition that the airbrush creates, now we're breaking it up with this electric blue. And we're stippling and not really dry brushing, but just making it, giving it some noise to create that tattered, damaged look, the chipping effect. And I think that the ultramarine blue with the airbrush and then this dry brush step has a unique look as well. So then I mixed a little bit of white with the electric blue, and we're going back and we're just stippling more on there. And I'm just using a messed up brush because it gives it a better look. It's way more random. So now I'm just using pure white, and I'm being very selective with it. And this is like our highlight for our chipping. Just adding damage everywhere. Where I think it would look good at. Just getting an overall nice weathered look on the model. Now we're using shining silver, and I did the trim in shining silver on this one, as well as the insignia and all the stuff on the gun, the barrel and everything. So that's what we're looking like after the metallic. Just based everything in shining silver. So now I'm going back and I'm using a darker brown. This isn't a color we used on the other ones, but I like to add a little more definition to it, or a little better to sell the look. And then I'm just using straight black and being very selective with this as well. I did this after the metallics so I can get a little bit of over stippling on the trim work. It just help blend everything together. And then using dark tone again, we're just washing the weapon and all the pouches, as well as the tube and the earpiece and the trim work on his pads. and I did it in the cracks and joints of his pads as well. Then we white dotted the eyes, and this is what I like to do a lot, is just base the eye with just straight white. Then I'll use that ink in the airbrush, and I'll just, you know, pull back ever so slightly, because you can overdo it and just create that glow look on the lens. And that's pretty much it. Here's all three of the models. We got the dry brush, then we got the airbrush, and then we got the third mix. And these are 3 ways that you can paint Ultramarines, and they're all pretty fast and effective paint jobs. The dry brush one obviously is probably the fastest, and these are just 3 different looks that you can get from using, for the most part, the same colors, utilizing an airbrush and dry brushing. But thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.